Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of MJ Every Day. A little bit of a different video for you guys today. This is more of a discussion / response type video. I'm going to be talking about TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, and performance enhancing drugs. And this is a video that is a response type video to a video that my brother Mark Lobliner did a couple of weeks back on this very topic, discussing TRT and how TRT, the title of his video was something along the lines of TRT is not a form of performance enhancing drug. The screenshot for his video is up on screen at the moment. If you haven't checked it out already, you kind of have to understand what I'm going to talk about in this video. So link is down in the description box down below. Go check the video out and then come back and continue watching this video. So in Mark's video, his kind of message, there are a whole lot of messages, but the one I want to pick on, the one that's kind of been causing a lot of discussion in the industry, and a lot of people personally have hit me up asking for my opinion on it, was the fact that he says that testosterone replacement therapy is not performance enhancing and can't be considered a type of performance enhancing drug, so to speak. So first things first, what is TRT? For those of you who are unaware, testosterone replacement therapy is a medical therapy that is prescribed by a medical professional, by a doctor, usually a hormone specialist, to men whose endogenous, so internal, natural production of testosterone has effectively shut down. So their body is not able to produce endogenously, to produce itself, to produce naturally a sufficient amount of testosterone to put testosterone levels within the range that they should be for a male of a particular age. So the endogenous endocrine system, the testosterone production system naturally has shut down. So the only way to get sufficient testosterone to put a particular man within the range, the natural range of testosterone that he should be in for his age, is to take exogenous, so external testosterone, and inject it into the body and actually put it into the body. So that's what testosterone replacement therapy is. By nature of the fact that it is a prescription-only therapy, and by nature of the fact that it's done under medical supervision, you're only ever going to be able to use TRT to get you back within a natural optimal range of free and total testosterone for a man of a particular age. So we need to just get that, out there at the moment, because a lot of people, when they think TRT, they think about steroids. That's a different conversation. We're going to get to that in a second. But TRT is a medically prescribed therapy to bring testosterone within the natural range for a man of a particular age. Not unlike hormone replacement therapy has been used for women and by women for decades to get their hormones, for usually postmenopausal women, to get their hormones within natural range when their endogenous, when their natural endocrine system shuts down post-menopause because their body just isn't producing sufficient hormones, and estrogen in particular. So they have to use hormone replacement therapy, which is similar to TRT, just for females instead of males, usually prescribed by a hormone specialist and supervised by a hormone specialist or a medical professional to bring natural hormone levels back within the natural range. That's what TRT is. Now, so far as performance enhancing drugs, so when we look at PEDs, we're talking about drugs, and when we talk specifically about hormones, we're talking about exogenous hormones that are put into the body to get hormone ratios and hormone amounts to unnatural levels, to the levels where they become performance enhancing. So when we kind of find the mesh of the two, the mesh of TRT, which is an exogenous hormone, which is a steroid that's put into a male's body to get their hormones, their testosterone, their free testosterone, their total testosterone back within normal range, And then we consider that that very same product, that very same steroid can be used as a performance enhancing drug if it is administered in the amount sufficient to push total and free testosterone outside of the natural range to the point where it becomes performance enhancing. That's kind of where we have to draw the line. So on one hand, I agree with Mark's video that TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, prescribed by a medical professional, monitored by a medical professional who's usually a hormone specialist, is not going to be performance enhancing. I 100% agree with that premise. That makes, by fact of the nature of what TRT is, it's never going to be performance enhancing because a medical professional or hormone specialist is never going to prescribe it in the amounts that would need to be prescribed to push you over and above the natural hormone range to the point where it becomes performance enhancing. If they did, they would be dragged by their collar through the medical professional boards because that's not what TRT is about. So I agree with Mark in that premise. Where I kind of have to, I guess, segregate the two is TRT is not natural. Okay, by the fact that you're putting exogenous hormones into your body, by the fact that you're using steroids, whether it is or is not to get you back within the natural range of your testosterone and free testosterone, it's not natural because it's circumventing your natural testosterone production because your natural endocrine system, your natural endogenous way of producing hormones has shut down. It's not natural. So I guess that's kind of where we sit between the two is if you start using TRT, well not using, if you're prescribed TRT, you're no longer a natural athlete, but you're not on performance enhancing drugs. So there is kind of there's this kind of gray area here, which, you know, I'm happy that Mark did his video because I think this is a discussion that we really do need to have. And I think that TRT is an amazing therapy for older men because as men do get older, and especially as men are living longer, our endogenous testosterone production, our endocrine system does get weaker and weaker to the point where, you know, by the time you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, by the time I get to that age range, we'll probably be living over 100. It's just not doing what it's supposed to do anymore. And I think that TRT can be incredibly beneficial for older men. So I think that you're going to start seeing more and more men adopt it as we get older and as we live longer. And I think that is a fantastic thing. Because of that, this is a discussion that we need to have because it's going to become more and more relevant. At this point in time, TRT, especially in Australia, is very, very rare. It's very, very rarely prescribed. It's kind of like a last resort type thing. You know, doctors, hormone specialists will try all sorts of natural therapies to spark natural endogenous hormone production before they start looking at TRT, at putting exogenous hormones into a man's body. It really is a last resort. But I think that it's going to become more and more acceptable, more and more mainstream within the medical profession. And that's why I think that this discussion is a good discussion to have at this point in time. So firstly, I have to say props to Mark for shooting the video because it allows us to have this discussion and allows us to spark this conversation. And I really think that that's kind of where we stand, is TRT is not natural. So if you end up going on TRT, you're no longer a natural athlete, but you're also not on performance enhancing drugs. You kind of sit in this gray area between the two. The next question that it kind of leads to, and I apologize, this is a bit of a longer episode of MJ Everyday, guys, but it is a discussion that we need to have. The next thing that it leads to is in tested competitive sports. So sports that are governed by WADA, sports that are governed by, in Australia, ASADA, sports that are drug tested. If you're on TRT, are you able to compete in those sports as a drug tested athlete? And this is really something where I think that the governing bodies are going to have to change and adapt as TRT becomes more mainstream, as this becomes something that we're seeing more and more of, especially with older athletes, and especially as athletes within competitive sports are getting older, because we're taking better care of our health. And you're going to see top athletes now, most top professional athletes, their careers are over by the time they're 40. I wouldn't be surprised over the next 20, 30 years to see those athletes pushing it to 50 and above. So we're going to get this crossover between top level professional competitive athletes and the use of TRT. And I think that these governing drug testing bodies are going to have to change and adapt, because the way that it stands at the moment, if you look at the prohibited substances, testosterone and all the esters of testosterone that are used in TRT are prohibited. They're banned. It doesn't matter if you pass or don't pass a drug test. If you're taking that sort of product through TRT, you cannot compete in those sports that are governed by WADA and ASADA. You're effectively cheating because you're taking a banned substance, whether or not you pass a drug test or not, because drug tests are a whole different discussion that we can have in a whole different episode of MJ Every Day, how they're done, the process of drug testing, so on and so forth. The rules as they stand at the moment with WADA is if you're taking exogenous hormones, and in particular testosterone and testosterone esters as part of TRT, you cannot compete in a drug-tested federation or a drug-tested sport, because those substances are banned. But I think that needs to change, because as we've discussed in this episode, although you're not natural, you're also not to the level where you're on a performance-enhancing drug. You're effectively using TRT to get you back up to the level playing field with everybody else whose endocrine system, whose endogenous hormone production system is functioning where it needs to function. So, man, it's a good discussion to have, and you can see that I get excited about it, because I think that it's almost a changing of the guards, with regards to this whole gray area. And as TRT becomes more mainstream and athletes get older, professional athletes get older, we're living longer. There's a whole. It's the start of change as far as I'm concerned. So I just want to say thank you to Mark for doing the video. As I mentioned, guys, links in the description box down below. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out, because it is a cool video. He dresses a whole bunch of cool shit in there. But that's it. That's where I stand at this point in time on it. Not to say that my views won't change in the future, but at the time I'm recording this video, that's where I stand. TRT is not natural, but it's also not performance enhancing. There is this gray area, and I think that the drug testing authorities are gonna have to deal with this gray area at some point in time, as TRT becomes more and more mainstream and the athletes are getting older and older. Guys, that's a wrap for today's episode of MJ Every Day. As always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn your post notifications on, both on your desktop, your mobile, your cell phone, and your desktop PC, so you don't miss a beat when it comes to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel. Until tomorrow, I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Stay